We appreciate you being here, since this program is optional and discusses best practices for your consideration. If you were thinking of adopting any of them, please make sure to review the requirements in your area/region with your broker, branch manager, or manager, including those related to contacting consumers. We do want to highlight the importance of the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, better known as TCPA. The general rules are that it's okay to call people if the person recently gave you their phone number, but remember to check the DNC list regularly if they haven't spoken to that person in a while. You will also want to check the DNC list anytime you don't have permission. Automated calling/texting platforms should never be used. Pre-recorded messages and artificial voices should never be used. You will be personally liable for any violations of the TCPA. We'll mention the TCPA a few times throughout this presentation.
Hello, in this demonstration, we're going to show you how to customize the newsletter inside your Prospect Square account and how to create a custom banner in Marketing Center for the newsletter. You'll want to begin by starting with mycbdesk.com. From there, click into the Prospect Square tile. Once inside of Prospect Square, use the menu on the left side to locate Newsletter. In this section, you'll be able to adjust any of your newsletter settings, as well as see the number of contacts selected to receive the newsletter. Please pay special attention to the Things to Note area, as this is what tells you when the next scheduled date for your newsletter is. You also have 7 days to edit before the date shown on the screen. The initial newsletter settings can be accessed by clicking into the blue Newsletter Settings button at the top of your screen. From this section, you have the ability to select which group or groups are set up to receive your newsletter. You also have the ability to adjust the custom header image for your newsletter. We'll talk about this portion in just a moment. Additionally, you have the ability to automatically select that featured listings populate on your newsletter. In this area, you also have the ability to adjust, edit, or add any of the market areas to the market area portion of your newsletter. To add a market area, simply click on Add Market Area and follow the steps to get it added into the newsletter. Please note that any market area reports that are selected here will appear on any future newsletters. After you've made the adjustments needed, be sure to click Save and Close in the top of your screen. To edit this month's newsletter, simply scroll down to the Current and Upcoming Newsletter section. Pay special attention to the scheduled date of your newsletter. As I mentioned, you'll have 7 days prior to that date to edit the newsletter before it's distributed to your contacts. If you decide you want to opt out from a newsletter, simply click Opt Out, and this will keep it from being sent out on that scheduled date. If you'd like to edit this month's newsletter, simply click on Edit. From this window, you'll want to scroll through all of the options and review and adjust any of the necessary fields. Starting at the top of the screen, you'll notice Newsletter Subject. This is the subject line that's been pre-populated for you as the subject line of your email for your newsletter when it's distributed to your contacts. You do have the ability to click into that field and make any adjustments necessary. If you'd like to add a personal message to your newsletter, simply click into the newsletter intro text, and this will open up a text box area where you can add your personal message. There's a toolbar available for you to make any adjustments to the font size, color, and type. After you've made adjustments, click on OK. The newsletter intro text is entirely optional, is not required for you to fill in order for your newsletter to be distributed. And keep in mind, whatever messaging you add here will only go on this newsletter and will not be applied to any future newsletters. If you have an introductory video or a video that you'd like to include in your newsletter, you can add that in the space provided here. You'll want to make sure that video is on a site like YouTube or Vimeo so you can very easily copy and paste the URL. As we scroll down through the options, you'll notice there's a note here regarding the display order. This is where you can choose what type of information you'd like to appear first in your newsletter. We automatically provide national content for all of our newsletters. If you'd like that to be the first set of content seen on a newsletter, you'll want to make sure that that's bubbled here. If you have local content that's been added by you or someone within your administrative team, make sure you click on local and that information will appear at the top of your newsletter. In this example, I'm going to stick with keeping national content first. As we scroll down the list, you'll notice that the national content, the URLs to various blog excerpts, have already been added into this section. You won't be able to make any adjustments as they are added by the brand. Scrolling down the list, you'll see the option for local content. This is where you can personalize your newsletter a bit further. You have the ability to copy and paste in URLs from various articles or stories online. You have the ability to add in links or URLs to various articles and stories that you're finding online. Many times, agents who are utilizing a blog on their MoxieWorks website may copy and paste the URL to their blog in this section. Another idea or option here is to include links to local events that might be happening during the month. Let's take a preview of how that could be done. In another tab, I'm going to look for the Coldwell Banker blog. I'm going to find an article that I'd want to copy and paste into my newsletter. As an example, I'll use this article here. I'll take the URL for this page, copy, and paste it into the link area provided inside of Prospect Square. Special note here, you'll want to click the preview button to make sure that your article populates with an image, headline, and some text. If you notice that in the preview, any of those items are missing, that's a great indication to say that that's not a great link to be using in your newsletter, and you may want to populate something else. You have the ability to add up to 5 different custom links in the local content area. After you've completed that section, which is entirely optional, by the way, you'll scroll down to find the featured listings section. If you currently have listings that are active on the market and you've toggled on the Include Featured Listings button, which was shown at the very beginning, you should see your current list of properties here on the screen. If you're not, or you don't have a current listing, you have the ability to add in properties by clicking the Add Property button. From here, you'll have the ability to add in any listings that you currently have or listings from within your office. Please note that you'll only be able to add up to 6 listings in this section. After you've made your selection of properties, click OK. In the Real Estate Update section, your market areas will automatically be populated here. Remember, those were selected and created from the initial newsletter settings button that was shown at the beginning. From here, you have the ability to toggle on or off which market area reports you'd like included in this month's newsletter. Scrolling down the page, you'll see the Send To area. You should see the groups that already exist within your Prospect Square account. From here, you can select the group or groups that you'd like to receive. You also have the ability to add in individual contacts to receive the newsletter. If you'd like to send a test of the newsletter to yourself or to someone else, you can use the test area to do so. And last but certainly not least, we do have the ability to select which social media networks that you'd like your newsletter to share from by default. Again, in order for these to be toggled on, you'll want to make sure that your social media accounts are correctly added to your Prospect Square account. Once you've made all of the changes, click on Save. A quick tip for previewing your newsletter before it's distributed on the scheduled date is to simply click on the image. This will show a preview of your newsletter. Here at the top, we can see the various national content articles that were already added to the newsletter. In the local stories section, you'll see that URL that I copied and pasted from our Coldwell Banker blog. I did not featured properties to show here on the newsletter. Those would appear between the local stories and the real estate updates if you are selecting those properties. And last but certainly not least, we have the real estate updates, which are the area reports based on the counties or cities that you've set up in your newsletter settings. A little bit about the custom newsletter header. As you can see here at the top of my screen, I have a beautiful Coldwell Banker Realty branded newsletter header. These can be created inside of Marketing Center. Let me show you how to do that. Once inside of Desk, you'll want to navigate to the Marketing Center app. From within Marketing Center, locate the Template section, which is the fourth button down on the left side menu. From here, you'll want to click Search Templates. And an easy way to find the newsletter header is to simply type in the word newsletter. This will narrow down all the results on your Marketing Center library to show you the Prospect Square newsletter banner. Click on that asset to begin creating it. Once your project has opened, you'll see that there are a number of options for you to customize, 10 to be exact. All of them are various different layouts and styles depending on whether you're an individual agent, whether you're part of a team or have a team name, and if you have any agent branding. You'll want to scroll through the list to find the applicable newsletter header that works for you. In this case, I'm going to use number 4 here. After you've made your edits by clicking into your photo and your contact area, you'll want to download the image. You can do that by clicking the download button in the top right-hand corner. From here, you'll want to change the format to a JPEG, change page range, and select the page item number that you've adjusted, and go ahead and click Download. That item will be downloaded into your Downloads folder. And now we need to navigate back to your Prospect Square newsletter in order to add it in to your newsletter. Going back to Prospect Square, I'll need to click into the Newsletter Settings button, which is at the top of the screen in the Newsletter section. And from here, we'll scroll down into the Preference areas where it shows a custom header image. Click on the Attach File button to locate the file in your downloads and add it to your newsletter. From here, you'll have the ability to make any adjustments as far as cropping. If no adjustments are needed, simply click Save. Then click Save and Close. Then click OK. If I want to preview what my newsletter looks like with the new custom header image, we'll need to click again on the current newsletter image. And there you have it. You've personalized your Prospect Square newsletter, and it's ready to distribute to the contacts and groups of your choosing.